Welcome to Health Hope. I'm Gail McKenzie and I'm your host. Now today I'm dressed a little bit differently, but it's because we have a very special guest. Angela Aiken here is a physical therapy from Restore Wellness. So Angela, it's really good to have you here.
Thank you so much. Great to be here, Gail.
I know that our viewing audience is going to be very interested in what you have to share with us. You know, my mother had double knee replacement, and I know that she had physical therapy in the rehab where she went. But I also know that her knees gave out. So I know for many of our people out there, they're going to wonder what kind of things can we do to prevent. So we're going to talk about a lot of things today, aren't we? Okay. But before we get too far into that, can you tell us what is your educational background and what does it take to become a physical therapist?
Sure, I'd love to. I am a physical therapist. I have a doctorate in physical therapy. To get that, I had to do 4 years of undergraduate school for a bachelor's in health science is what I chose to get. You can get anything with that, but you have to have either 3 or 4 years, depending on the physical therapy program.
Okay.
And then the program for physical therapy is 3 years of graduate school, either culminating in a master's or a doctorate.
I'm sure those watching will want to know when physical therapy is necessary. Can you share what types of conditions that would cause us to need physical therapy?
Sure, yeah. Obviously, any surgeries that someone might have, like you mentioned, the knee replacements,
Right.
that's a big one that in the orthopedic setting, which is joints basically, that's a big one that we see. Hip replacements, any sorts of injuries that you might have that maybe need a shoulder surgery or might not need a surgery. Just trying to get pain basically out of the joint, get it to where you can use it, fully functioning.
Wow.
Getting back to life pretty much. We're movement specialists, so that's what we do is we want you to get back to moving normally without pain.
Right, right. Now, can you tell us what would a typical physical therapy session include?
Sure.
What would I be doing?
Okay, and that kind of depends on the practice. So for me, I do private practice. I'm a manual therapist, so that means I do a lot of hands-on therapy.
Okay.
So what I would do, like for the first day, a typical session, the first day is the evaluation. We do a lot of talking. I'd be trying to figure out, what's bothering you, what causes your pain to increase, decrease, just seeing how I can change things for you, what we need to work on, what your habits are, where you work, So just trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together to figure out what's going on and why. That would be pretty much most of the first day, and I might give you a couple of exercises, and of course get my hands on and see what I can feel, if it agrees with what you're telling me, or if we need to try to figure out what's going on.
Okay, wow, alrighty. Now, how many sessions of physical therapy are usually needed, and how long do they take? I mean, like 3 hours or
Right.
half hour or,
Right, okay, and again, that depends on the setting. Most physical therapy sessions take 30 minutes to an hour,
Okay.
depending on the clinic. Usually in a clinic, they say, it's a 30-minute session
Right.
or a 45-minute session. Thankfully, being able to do private practice, I can determine the time. I like to do closer to an hour because I like to get my hands on. I like to take my time, really connect and make sure we're not missing anything. And that way we can have time to do the manual therapy as well as some exercises you can work on at home. I like to be able to have you do those things on your own, integrate it into your daily life so it's something that you can continue to do to prevent anything from recurring at that point.
Right. Kind of like an hour massage is better than just a half hour, 10
Absolutely,
minutes, right?
absolutely.
Okay.
Got to get your money's worth.
All right. Now tell me about something else. Tell me about posture. What is the correct posture that we need to really strive for?
Okay, and that is a loaded question. We think about postures, up tall, shoulders back, military, chest out. In fact, that's not really what we should be striving for at all.
Okay.
Now, we're sitting pretty good here, up on the edge of your chair. If you're going to sit down, which most people sit a majority of the time in this society, really you should be up, tilted forward. It's called sitting on your tripod. So you're sitting forward here, up on your sits bones, and you're tilted forward. Now this is the sitting posture. A little later on, we're going to go into the actual bony landmarks for standing posture, so we can actually see what we want lined up where throughout your body and kind of assess things at where you are and where I am, just so we can assess where you should be standing all the time.
Okay. probably most of us are wondering, what are some things that we can do to stay healthy and prevent injuries, and disease?
Right, right. Well, it's not all about exercise. It's not all about nutrition, although those things are important. But what we have to do is take all of the health laws, God's 8 natural health laws, and put those all together to truly find that balance of how we can maintain overall wellness. So, of course, nutrition, exercise, water, temperance, which is the balancing of everything.
Wow. Yes.
The sunshine and air, fresh air. Getting rest, allowing your body to heal, and of course, most importantly, trusting God, because after all, the only point of being healthy and being pain-free is that we can represent Him. There's no need to live a long life if we are not going to be witnessing and living our life for God. So that truly is the ultimate goal in achieving health and wellness.
I think you spelled out an acronym, didn't you? What is that acronym?
The New Start acronym.
The New Start.
Yes.
Okay, so that we can remember that.
Yes,
That's really
yes.
great. Thank you. And I'm also wondering, though, Angela, if we can add things to our diet or daily regimen, like dietary supplements, and if so, what would you recommend for health and healing? I have a lot of friends, and I take a few things on the side here. Extra vitamins, we're always looking for the latest and what's the best. So what can you tell us about that?
And there's always something new coming out, so it's hard to know who to believe.
Yes.
So again, I like to go back to the Bible. What did our Creator make? And He made us whole food. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, these things were eaten raw in the Garden of Eden, most likely. So these are what we need to strive to get back to, what we need to eat to fuel our body so it can grow and rest and maintain and rejuvenate. So as far as supplements go, I don't really recommend taking vitamins and minerals and those sorts of things, because then we're taking these little pieces and trying to plug them in separately, and our body doesn't really know how to deal with that. So it's better to eat, a whole apple versus, an apple has a lot of vitamin C, so I'm going to take the vitamin C. That's not how we were created to absorb these things. So if anything, I would recommend doing like a whole food product, which Juice Plus is one that I personally take and recommend.
Okay.
And that's something that can be looked up further on my website if anybody wants to look that up later.
So we can go to your website and find out a little bit more about that. That's great. Well, that's really helpful, and I appreciate that, but I'm sure that our friends who are watching would like to now know the hard part. It's really easy to take a pill or drink even lots of water or smoothies or Juice Plus, but it's the exercise. It's getting there and doing those things that we need to. So what do you recommend as exercise? What should I be doing to keep my body, fit and natural?
Okay, well, pretty much it's easy. You need to move, and you need to do it a lot.
Okay.
We shouldn't be sitting here, and I'm going to say this again, we need to go back to the Bible. What did God create us to do? He said, 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, and on the 7th day is the Sabbath, and on that day you shall rest. So what I recommend is 6 days of movement. 6 days you do your exercise. You rest on the 7th day, and that gives your body a chance to recover. Now, during those 6 days in alignment, you can walk. You can, if somebody likes to run, I don't necessarily recommend running because it's so hard on the joints. But if somebody loves it, I'm not going to say, oh no, don't do that, that's terrible. But that's where it's important to know your alignment markers, which we'll talk about, and making sure you're strong and able to handle that. But basically, if you're getting movement throughout the day and walking, and even if you have a sitting job, what about standing up? Maybe you could do a standing workstation, and at the very least, get up and move every 20 minutes, just making sure you're getting that flow, that movement, that circulation, because otherwise everything is, crunched here in the spot. And even if you're up tall, look at all the bends I have here in my body. All the blood is having to flow around these bends, and it's really a lot harder on the heart to have to pump that through. So that's really important. The more you can stand and move, the better circulation and health you're going to have.
So I could stand at my desk, right, and answer the phone. Is that right?
Pretty much.
Take some phone calls standing up.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
maybe that would work. I love to walk, and my husband and I try to walk every morning. Don't always get there, but in fact, last year we were in Europe, and we ended up walking in 10 days' time 70 miles, and
Wow.
we lost weight.
That's great.
And I love to see all the people there that were walking and riding their bikes. But you know, there is something that I know. I have some friends who are doing something different than just walking, and that's Zumba, I think, and yoga and Pilates. Can these be beneficial? I mean, can they help us strengthen our muscles and bones?
And the thing with those, you have to be careful. Look at the background of exercises, because while science may show that these things are beneficial, and we may think, okay, well, it's just movement. I'm just exercising. What's the harm? It's better to move than not move, right? But if you look at the backgrounds of these things and you look at the Bible, you have to ask yourself, does this agree with what God says we should be doing? And God really points out that he doesn't, in the Bible, he points out in Deuteronomy that we should not seek after other gods. We should not seek after heathen practices. So yoga, you know, that comes from Eastern meditation, Eastern mysticism. So that in itself is, you know, serving another god. And think about even sun salutation. That is one of the forms that they do. That's nothing but worshiping the sun worship. I mean, it's history repeating itself from the Bible to now. It's just Satan creating these counterfeit systems of worship so that we will be deceived. So truly we have to be so careful with what we allow our bodies to do, even if it's in the name of health, and even if we say, oh, I'm not opening up my mind to these practices, I'm just going to do the forms. No, I mean, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they could have said, oh, well, we'll just bow down, but really we're going to pray to God while we're bowing down. So what's the harm, you know, to the idol? But they didn't. They said, no, we won't even do that form. And I feel like we need to be so careful and do that same thing with any of the exercises out there. So really it boils down to know the backgrounds. But even more than that, if we are striving to maintain the simplistic, get the movement, walk, you know, work, do just movement. You don't have to worry about, well, is this wrong? No, because it's in the Bible. You don't have to know the background, you know, it's there. So that makes it very simple. And actually one of my favorite teachers in school always said, if you're trying to make it, if it's too hard, if it seems too hard, then you're probably doing something wrong. So go back to the simple. Go back to what the Bible says. It's clear, and then there's no questions.
So I can always be safe walking, can
Absolutely.
I? Absolutely. That's good. That's good. Thank you for that counsel. Very wise counsel. Now, I'm going to ask you to show us now some actual exercises that you would recommend for alignment and health. Can I be a guinea pig here?
Sure.
We'll see how this goes.
Okay, so what we need to do first is stand up, because we just said sitting is bad. So we should have been standing all along.
Oh, okay. We should have been standing. All right. Okay.
Now, probably we need to take off our shoes to do this so we can see our feet.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to just slip mine off here and going to be in my stocking feet. Okay.
Okay. So look at your feet.
All right.
How do they look to you? Are they straight?
I think they are.
Okay.
They look pretty good.
Okay. So what we need to do is get a straight edge. And I'm going to come over here. Can I? I don't know if I can. Okay. So what you want to do is line up the outer edge of your foot against a straight line. And I'm going to pull this up so you can see. So against a straight line. Now, so bring your heel over
bring
towards.
My heel over. Oh, wow.
Yep.
Boy, I can feel a little difference already.
Yeah. And most people, you know, it feels like, oh,
I must have been cockeyed.
I'm pigeon-toed, you know. So this is your new normal. This is how your feet should be in stance, in walking.
Okay.
And it's a little known fact.
Yes.
Now,
that was easy.
Right. It's easy to do. It's just a matter of being conscious of it throughout, you know, your day and your activity.
Right.
Okay. So feet straight. Now, the next thing is they need to be pelvis width apart. So the little bones on the front of your pelvis here, and that's the middle of your feet should line up with the middle of your pelvis, the bones on the front.
I think I'm there.
Okay. Now, is the weight forward, how you're standing, or are you back on your heels?
I guess I don't
Or
know.
in the middle?
I think I'm in the middle.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
What we want is to be back on our heels.
Back
and
on
not
the
so
heels.
far that you're tipping backward, but
Okay.
just enough that your
Okay.
toes can lift up off the floor.
Okay.
Okay? Now, I'm going to lift up so we can see knees, because now we've got to see knees.
Oh, wow. Okay. Got to show my knees.
Yep,
Oh, wow.
yep.
Okay. Alrighty.
Okay. So when your weight's back through your heels, feet are straight.
Yes.
Do you feel like your kneecaps are up or down? Or can you tell?
They're up, I think.
Okay. Can
Okay.
you let them down?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think so.
Good. If you can't pull them up anymore, that means they're probably already up. But since you could tell they were up, that's good. You let
Yes.
them down.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
Okay.
this is where you should be. Kneecaps should always be relaxed,
Okay.
but knees should be completely straight when you're standing.
Okay.
So look at this, how we are now. Straight line, ankle, knee, hip, up.
Okay.
Think about osteoporosis. Think of the posture you see when people get a little older, about this coming forward
Right.
business and the
Right.
osteoporosis, fall, you break a hip. That has a lot to do with not only the nutritional aspects, the calcium and all that, but also that the weight bearing is not getting through this hip. So if there's not a straight line, if we're here, all humped over, look at where the plumb line would go.
Right.
It's not going through my bone, it's going somewhere back here. It's not even hitting through my bone.
Right.
So getting back to this posture is going to get good bone building. It's going to stress the hip, which is what it was built for. It's the biggest bone in the body. So this is a great osteoporosis prevention, not exercise, but just movement, which is what we're striving for.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
So we're here. We're back on our heels. We're
okay.
straight up.
Back on our heels with our knees down, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Now, what we want to look at next is the pelvis. Do you feel like you're tucked under? Do you feel like you're out? Hard to tell,
yeah,
probably,
that's a little bit.
without
I'll-
knowing
yeah.
what I'm looking for.
I'll let you do it.
Okay. So what we're looking for here is a lot of people will be tucked for whatever reason, and that's probably
And that
again
pulls
with
you
that
forward.
with that
Okay.
posture. So we just want to think about pulling the tailbone out a little bit.
I see.
Not
Okay.
not so much that you're sticking, not exaggerating,
Okay.
but just pull
Okay.
it out a little bit.
Okay.
So thinking about this, think about if we put on a pair of shoes. Would we still be able to do this weight through our heels? And of course that depends on the shoes. So a lot of times with women, we wear shoes with heels.
Yes.
If we're wearing shoes with heels, that puts us right back in that posture that we were talking about.
Oh, you're telling
That's
me I can't wear
not
my
good.
heels
I
now.
know, I know. But then your feet get all crunched in that, and they don't just, you take them off and yes, you come down. But after time, wearing that all the time, your feet, the muscles have muscle memory. So they will just maintain that posture, and then you get, Barbie feet. So, which we do not want.
No, we don't want Barbie feet. Okay.
So a great exercise to help with stretching out those muscles is easy. It's just a calf stretch. So what we would do here, and this is just a half dome, a half foam roller,
Okay.
is just put your foot up on the top on the
Okay.
apex here.
Okay.
And again, you need your foot lined up straight. The outer edge of your foot should be straight.
Okay.
And just stepping forward until you're getting a good stretch down the back of your leg.
Oh, okay. So we just step forward then.
And you want your knee to be completely straight here.
Oh.
There
Okay.
you go.
I
Now
think okay.
yeah.
Wow.
And the goal with this one would to be where you are stepping forward. So it's as if you can do a
I don't
normal
know if
gait.
I can do that without falling down.
Yeah, and it's something you
That's
have to
really
work up
good.
to. So
Wow.
starting here,
I
and
can really feel that.
over
yes.
several weeks we're talking of working to where it's an
Sure.
actual stride length.
Sure.
So that's a really simple one I would have somebody do.
Okay.
You would do a minute on each side 3 times
Okay.
per day. It's not,
Right.
it's very
Right.
doable, very doable.
Right.
Okay. So another one for feet, since we're talking about feet, these are the base. Everything up here depends on what's going on down here. So you've got to start there with working on stuff. Okay, so the next thing we could do is work on toes. Think about shoes, the little tiny toe boxes.
Yes.
You need your toes to have the room
Lots
to
of
move.
space, don't you? Yes.
So a good one that is going to help with that would be coming back behind you. It's just a top of the foot stretch.
Oh, okay.
So you're just coming back, trying to
Yeah.
get your knee extended,
Yeah.
letting the toes stretch out
That's
behind
good.
you.
That's good.
Same
I can
thing.
do that one easy.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that one I can do.
Same thing. Minute stretch on each side.
Okay.
3 times.
Okay.
Okay. So the
Okay.
final one is just a ball roll. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
this is really nice at the end of the day. You've been in shoes probably all
Yes.
day, and it feels really good to just roll out.
Almost like a massage, isn't it? That's what you're
Exactly.
doing.
And you
Yes.
can do it up under your toes and
Okay.
under the middle of
Oh,
your
I got
foot.
to try that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this works
yeah.
great
Now
with
that
just
I like.
a
That's
tennis
really great.
ball, a racket
Okay.
ball. This is a pinky ball. Anything that size works.
You know what? I think we're going to have you come back again and share with us some more things. You know, is there any last words that you want to give us, kind of some tips or something that we can just remember, just kind of maybe pull it all together for us?
Sure, I'd love to.
And we're not going to sit down, we're going to stand up because we need to be
Yes.
standing, right?
Yes. Well, again, it all boils down to going back to focusing on the Creator, how we should move, how He created us to move, standing in alignment. And when you're walking, it's not going to be as beneficial if you're walking in even tennis shoes that may have a little inch heel versus something completely flat. Even with footwear, I would recommend going down to as close to barefoot as you can, throughout the day.
What about those new shoes then? There's those new shoes
The
that
toe
your
shoes?
toe shoes? Yes.
Those
What
are
would
great.
you- really?
Those are
So
great.
those would be really good.
Yeah, they would. They would be great.
I have wondered about that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, hey, there you go. That's a really great tip then. So.
And a little bit cheaper alternative to even those
Okay.
would be like just aqua shoes. You can get them at Walmart.
Ah,
The Benny
yes.
shoes, they're very flexible soled. They're very thin. They're great for kids that grow a lot and you can't get these expensive shoes,
Yes.
but may need the protection outside or what have you. So those are really great, and that's what I personally like to wear if I'm
Okay.
going out.
Okay.
But otherwise,
good-
going
that's
down,
good.
going down to barefoot as much as you can. Of course, if you're coming out of wearing heels, 8 hours a day or something, which most of us don't, but some do for jobs, have
Yes.
to do that.
Yes.
Then that might be, you wouldn't want to go straight to barefoot because your feet aren't ready for that. You gotta build up. You gotta do like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
Okay.
Start building up to where you can handle barefoot. But that is the goal. Because again, I'm all about natural. We will operate best when we go back to the natural, because that's how our body was created to move.
So we would have fewer injuries.
Yes.
And the strengthening of the muscles and the
Yes.
toning of all of that we need. So, those are some really good tips. I'm really excited about it. I think I may go check out some of those shoes with the toes. Now, is there anything else that you can tell us as far as what about, just as we finish up here, what about water? And, you mentioned that before, some of the nutrition. What does water do for us? And in physical therapy, how important is that?
It's really important, especially in physical therapy and hands-on physical therapy. I'm working through the muscles. I'm releasing those toxins that have built up in there and the tension in the muscles.
Yes.
So if you're not getting the water, you're not getting the circulation and flushing out those toxins, and it's just going to accumulate elsewhere. And that's not really, you're not going to get well as fast. Not that you won't get better. It just may take longer. So that's something that, I highly recommend. And I recommend, and this is throughout science, this is not just me, but for every pound of body weight, you need to drink a ½ an ounce of water per day.
Oh, that's a good thing to know then, so we can kind of figure out how much we should be drinking.
So like a 100-pound person, 50 ounces a day,
It'd be perfect. Good. Well, Angela, this has been very informative. I hope you have enjoyed what we have heard here, and that you're going to go out there and walk, move, and drink that water and get that rest, right? So thank you, and I hope we get to have you back again and learn some more things. Okay.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Why is it that most people skip breakfast? The most common reasons are they don't have time. They're not hungry in the morning. They want to lose weight. They don't realize its importance. But eating breakfast simply makes good sense. Who would ever start out on a trip without any gas in their car? So why should you start your day without the necessary energy supply? A group of scientists spent 10 years studying the effects of eating breakfast. A good breakfast, they concluded, can help both children and adults this way. They're less irritable, they're more efficient, they're more energetic, and they have better test scores. How? Breakfast provides a steady source of fuel to the brain, which greatly improves mental function and attention span. Studies have also even linked healthy breakfasts with less chronic disease, increased longevity, better overall health. Unfortunately, many people attempt to compensate for that mid-morning drop in energy by drinking coffee, tea, or a caffeinated soda, along with something maybe sweet, a donut, a sweet roll, or other high-calorie snack. So, what is a healthy breakfast? A good breakfast will provide at least 1/3 of the day's calories. It's high in fiber and it's rich in vitamins and minerals. You may have heard the wise saying, eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and supper like a pauper. It's good advice. Try starting your day with a whole grain cereal, whole grain bread, and a couple pieces of fresh fruit, and you'll find that your energy level stays high all morning. Cereals, bread, and fruit are your energy foods. Carbohydrates, which are easily converted into glucose, the fuel of your body. If you are eating low fiber and high sugar foods, they quickly pass into the bloodstream, giving you the high-low effect in energy level. A high fiber diet prevents too rapid absorption, ensuring a steady release of nutrients into the bloodstream. Fiber also absorbs water as it moves through the stomach and intestines, preventing constipation. And remember that fiber also plays a crucial role in weight control, heart disease, diabetes, and prevention of cancer. If you are one of those who says you don't have time to eat breakfast, try eating less at night for your evening meal and go to bed early so you can wake up refreshed with time to spare. Begin your day by drinking a glass or 2 of water and get outside in the fresh air for some active exercise, like a brisk walk. You'll come back after a shower ready for hearty King's breakfast. What more can you ask for? Thanks for listening. This has been a Health Moment.